Hey guys, it's Anna J. Walner with the Author Library, and I am pleased to have with me today author Lauri Schoenfeld. Lauri, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, Anna. I am so honored to be here with you.
Thank you for joining me.
I'm super excited. We've been chatting for a while, so it's fun to be here with you. I'm Lauri Schoenfeld. I'm the author of the new debut novel, Little Owl, which comes out in August 31st of this year. And I'm also the Enlightenment Podcast host, originally known as the Inner Enlightenment Show. And I have three beautiful kids that I'm homeschooling right now. So there's a lot of wild and exciting adventures happening at our home all the time.
I can only imagine. So, how do you find the time to write with so much going on?
Nighttime and in snippets.
Nap times and nighttime. If you can get them all coordinated just to take a nap at the same time. I completely understand.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We call it creative time at our house because they're too old to be taking nap time. And so I'm like, do something fun and creative, or do a little bit of electronics for like an hour or two that's just a little more silent, so mama can think for half a second.
Oh, I'm totally with you on that one. I get you. Most of my free time is nighttime, which means that I'm usually up late. Guys, Little Owl is a psychological thriller that, as Lauri said, is coming out late August of this year. And the premise for the book sounds so intriguing.
Thank you. It started as the theme of what would happen. I was actually having anxiety one day as my little kids were small. They were 3 and 1. And I had massive anxiety at that point that I was working through within myself. And I got in the shower, and it was like a 5-minute shower, but I couldn't hear my kids half of the time. And so it was like that panic feeling, that mama panic of, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And I jumped out with like a very real fear that they were going to be gone. And when I went out in the front room, they were fine and they were smiling and everything was fabulous.
Every mother's worst nightmare.
Yes. And that's the start of the book, of that feeling lingered for a while, of that fear of, oh my gosh, like what if they were taken? What would I do next? And that just sat with me. And this was the beginning of creating Little Owl, was based on that feeling and that idea.
That's amazing how a really strong feeling or emotion like that, or a thought that just sticks with you and it won't leave. It's almost like the idea is trying to tell you something like, write me. There's something here. I think we all have had that muse, as they say, visit us, and it looks. I don't know if I could read it. I mean, I really it would probably give me anxiety and nightmares. Because I do the same thing every time. Like, I find myself waking up in the middle of the night to just go check on her sometimes.
Still do that. Yep.
Even though nobody would want to break into my house, guys. Well, number one, we live in Texas, so but the county constable is my next door neighbor over here, and then we have a sheriff's deputy that's right across the street. So it wouldn't be a good idea.
You're safe, covered. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll never happen. But the main character, Adaline, who is the mom, her daughters have gone missing, and there's a lot of layers to this story. It is an intricate tale that you weave. I can tell just from the synopsis that you sent. Can you tell us a little more about the book and what the representation, where does the title come from, Little Owl?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for asking this question. It started as that idea of what would I do if the girls go missing? And Adaline is someone who's a very unstable mother. She has massive insomnia. She has childhood trauma, but is trying to pretend like she does not. And so when her girls go missing, she is not prepared to take that as an answer. And so the only way that she can figure out what really took place and happened is by no longer pretending that nothing happened in her childhood and really walking down all of those layers of what really happened to me when I was a little girl, and opening up all those layers and secrets to try to figure out what happened to her daughters.
So there is a bit of self-discovery in the story as well as we follow Adeline's character arc.
Yes.
So how was that to write? What was the most challenging part about writing this story for you? Or did it just, once the idea came to you, did the story just flow organically?
The hardest part is I resonated a lot with Adaline. So as I was writing the story, there were a lot of pieces of my own journey that I was walking through as well. And so I was self-exploring with my character, but also self-exploring myself. And where that was a very beautiful thing, there were also very dark moments as well that I did not want to explore. And I did not want to see, even though I knew it would be healing and healthy and a part of my journey that I needed to go through. That emotional, when we talk about writer's block, of oftentimes it's like that thing that we need to see, but we're like, I don't want to, or we're almost sabotaging ourselves a little bit of, I don't want this thing to happen to myself or my character because it's just really hard and dark and rough. But those are actually the pieces that you need to explore to be able to move into the healing and the next step of where you need to go from that space. And so it was beautiful for me, but also there were many times I had to step away from my novel because it was emotionally very taxing, because I was feeling a lot of that emotion right there with Adaline. And at times kind of had to step away and allow myself to breathe and process what was coming up before I could sit back down at my computer and say, okay, this is what's coming up. Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. No, as authors, I think we do draw on a lot of our own, they say write what you know, and it's not necessarily what you know, say as in a subject, but what you know about yourself. And we put a lot of ourselves into our characters. And as we do that, we grow to really care about those characters as if they were, real people, because we've modeled them after either ourselves or people that we know in real life. So it is sometimes difficult to give those characters some tough times and some tough things to process and work through.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's really brave of you to do that.
Yeah.
And I know that resonates on the page, comes through whenever you really care for your characters and whenever you really care about the story, it can really hit hard with the reader, which makes me even more nervous to read it. But the synopsis, guys, I can't wait for it to go on pre-sale so that you can read the synopsis and check out the cover for the book, and that you're doing the look inside thing where that you can read the first page. Okay, I'll do that. But I can't wait for people to read the synopsis, and you guys are going to be instantly hooked if you're a fan of psychological thrillers. Excuse me. But so you also, you mentioned earlier, guys, make sure that you check out Lauri's podcast. It streams live on Facebook, The Enlightenment Show. And did you see, is there a different name that you have for it now?
Yeah, it's just barely changed to the Enlightenment Podcast.
The Enlightenment Podcast.
Yes.
Gotcha. And you've grown quite a following there. So can you tell us how the podcast all started?
I would love to. Thank you for asking, Anna. I started in 2019 in December. I was cultivating before that point. I saw so many amazing people within my community that had these very powerful and radiant stories to share, but they didn't know where to share their story or who would even hold space for them to listen to their story. But they had such a voice that I knew if there were other people that heard their story, someone would be very impacted and need their story that they're going to share. And so I jumped in 2019, not even knowing what in the world I was doing, but going on that premise of we're just going to talk to people and hear stories, and it's going to impact someone out there, at least one person. And I started doing it as a tester and fell in love with the people and the stories and the conversations. And it's just grown from there immensely, just by the people and the conversations that I get to meet every single week. I'm so honored to be able to just hear their stories and share them with them in that space. So
you've had quite the eclectic cast that has come on the show. I will admit that I've watched a couple of episodes, more than a couple of episodes, that piqued my interest from people who are skilled in the art of embalming and funeral preparation, to investigators, so I mean, it really, so I can see how there's probably a lot of very realistic things that are in the novel Little Owl that you've drawn on from talking with some of the people that you've had on your show.
Yeah. Yes. The embalmer, her name is Alex. She's fabulous. And she was actually a big hand in helping me at the very last edit with going into forensics and what it would look like, you know, if you found a body and different things of that nature, but in a way that was realistic rather than fictionalized. And so I enjoyed that element a lot too, as we're all very curious and wondrous people. And being able to have that accuracy, I think, helps whether you're a writer or an artist or a researcher. You're just a curious human, as we all are in some form. So, yeah.
As Einstein once said, I'm not brilliant. I am cursed with an incurable curiosity. And I'm the same. I have the same curse. There's never anything that I'm afraid to take a look at or learn something new, because I always feel like there's just, you know, I'm okay.
High five, Anna.
Oh. So when will Little Owl be available to pre-order? Because it's as of let's see, it should be available on the 15th today. So, yep. And where can we find it?
So it's going to be up on Amazon. Should be 15th of May, and I will have the link. I can connect the link for you of how people can pre-order Little Owl. So
excellent. So guys, make sure to check out all of those links in the description below. I'll have all of those up for you to check out, and make sure that you pre-order whenever it goes on sale, and look out for Little Owl on the 31st, and check out the Inner Enlightenment Show on Facebook. Is it anywhere other than on Facebook? Do you stream it live anywhere else? On Instagram, I've seen.
Instagram and on YouTube as well.
Great. All right. Bye. So make sure, if you haven't already, to go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on more great content here on the Author Library. And then hop over to the Enlightenment Show. So the Enlightenment Podcast. Apologies. And subscribe to Lauri's channel as well, because as you just heard us talk, she has some very interesting guests that come on and talk with her. So, Lauri, is there anything else that you'd like readers to know before we close, fans to know before we close?
If you like whodunits and psychological thriller, this book is a weave of multiple POV characters, and you just don't know who is good or bad throughout the whole entire book. So it's a fun ride, a suspenseful ride.
I love those twists that you never quite saw coming, that the reader never saw coming. And I just being honest, we as authors, we love doing that to y'all. It's so much fun to sit back and say, I don't like that one.
Mm-hmm.
I might get a comment on that one.
A reaction of, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Yes, we love those.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you all for tuning in, and stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.